Welcome back to Banging the Can, the Houston sports show that does not apologize for championship rings and tings, presented by Bolen Media. I am Ross Bolen, and
AFC South champions 2 years in a row, Brian.
Yeah, but you guys are back in the...
Doesn't matter what it looked like. Back in the playoffs. Looking forward to the playoffs.
Looking forward to the playoffs. Texans beat the Dolphins 20-12 at NRG Stadium on Sunday, and then the Colts lost to the Broncos. So once again, for the second year in a row, your Houston Texans are champions of the most competent, most competitive, and most fearsome division in the National Football League.
AFC South champions 2 years in a row, Brian.
Yeah, but you guys are back in the...
Doesn't matter what it looked like. Back in the playoffs. Looking forward to the playoffs.
All right, let's get serious. For the Texans, that Bill O'Brien quote will never get old, and any opportunity you have to use it, you have to. But for the Texans, offense is still the problem, right? This is good, all right? Let's bask in the positivity of winning the AFC South yet again. But the AFC South is a dumpster fire. It always has been. It might always be a dumpster fire. For whatever reason, Houston sports have been massive beneficiaries of terrible divisions. Obviously, the Astros division is trash, which is why regardless of what happens as a result of the Kyle Tucker trade and whether or not they sign Alex Bregman, I still think there's a good chance we win the division and make the playoffs. Not that that is the bar for the Astros, but we're getting to experience the playoffs a lot more often than we should because two of our big three teams are in dog shit divisions. We're good enough to win the division, but you're watching these games and the offense is it's just not there. It's just not good. It's still not good. Nothing changed as a result of the bye week. The defense looks sharper and more aggressive and more in tune with each other. But the offense is still it was just the same. It was just the same shit. The offense remains the problem. Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator, seemingly remains the problem. Okay? And as I said before the bye week, that is pretty clearly not going to change this season. I think it is something that is going to have to be addressed in the offseason, and I do not know to what extent they will address it. But personally, unless a shocking miracle occurs and we somehow get to the AFC Championship this season, I think Bobby Slowick is probably gone. I don't even know that it's that he sucks at his job. It just doesn't work with the personnel that we have. This style of offense that he is running, the Shanahan coaching tree fucking mumbo jumbo, it isn't working. It just isn't fucking working. So I'm not trying to be a hater. Godspeed to Bobby Slowick, but I'm so confident that he will not be here because they're not just going to run this back. They're not just going to run this back. Cal and Hannah are not watching these games going, yeah, they just need another season with Bobby. You know what I mean? They're not just going to run this back. We are 13th. Here's some offensive stats. We are 13th in points scored per game, 19th in yards per game, 19th in passing yards per game, 17th in rushing yards per game, 19th in third down efficiency. None of those are good. That's just your middle of the pack or bottom third of the league in every offensive category. With what was supposed to be, on paper, this high-powered, one of the scariest offenses in football. Between C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins and Tank Dell and Dalton Schultz and Stephon Diggs when he was healthy and adding Joe Mixon to the mix. And you're getting worse results than you did last year offensively. It's just been a bizarre thing to witness watching this team turn into a defensive powerhouse and the offense just kind of sucks. And it does kind of suck. Let's talk about the run game against the Dolphins. Joe Mixon had 12 rushes for 23 yards. That is 1.9 yards per carry. And we are back to this Jekyll and Hyde. Some weeks we have this incredible run game that looks like it's going to be the backbone of our offensive scheme. And then some weeks they can't get a 5-yard runoff. He had 12 rushes for 23 yards, Joe Mixon. Dare Ogunbowale had 1 rush for 35 yards. We'll get to that in a second. So we had 77 rushing yards total as a team. 77 rushing yards as a team against the Dolphins, who are not very good. I don't know what you're supposed. Clearly, the passing game is not efficient enough to carry the offense at all times, and they're trying to figure out creative ways to get the run game going and do different things other than spamming halfback dive, which for whatever reason Bobby Slowick did for the first 14 fucking games of the season. But I don't really know what they could possibly do on the fly at this point to make the offense more explosive. So we're just gonna have to hope that the defense can be dominant, get a bunch of takeaways, and hold whoever we play in the playoffs to less points than our, meddling offense is able to generate. And that's it. That's the Texans season. That's the rest of the year right there. We're in the playoffs. We know that already. It'll just come down to who we're playing and when. 2 big games coming up in a row here between the Chiefs on Saturday and then the Ravens, I think, on Christmas Day with Beyonce performing at halftime, right? We play thrice in 11 days, which is also just borderline criminal from the NFL. It's stupid. That's stupid. Teams look like dog shit when they have one short week and they go from playing on Sunday to playing on Thursday. What the fuck do you think is going to happen here? This is going to be a shit show. I honestly give us better odds of winning against the Ravens just because I think they'll have also played a bunch of games in a 2-week span, and everybody's just going to be gassed. So 2 big games coming in a row before we close out the season against the Titans, but the offense has not been there. C.J. Stroud against the Dolphins threw for 131 yards, 18 for 26, 2 touchdowns, both to Nico Collins. Nico only had 17 yards receiving on 4 catches. Again, this is just if Nico and Joe Mixon combine for 40 yards of offense and you win, I guess you have to be happy about that, but that isn't going to happen often. Those 2 guys are the most talented and explosive players we have on our offense. And we're talking about a total of 40 yards between the 2 of them for an entire game against a non-playoff team. You can't feel great about that. You just can't. The fake punt play of the game showed balls. Big balls. Needed that so bad. Needed a call like that so bad. It was one of the best fake punts I've ever seen, execution-wise, results-wise. It was awesome. That was exciting. Huge testicles. And that was Ogunbowale rushing for 35 yards on that fake punt, which the fake punt yielded more rushing yards than the entire rest of the game combined. One play, a fake punt with Dare Ogunbowale running for 35, got us more yards on the ground than we got the entire rest of the football game. That is not good. And again, we still won. We still clinched the division. Everybody's happy.
AFC South champions 2 years in a row, Brian.
Yeah, but you guys are back in the...
Doesn't matter what it looked like. Back in the playoffs. Looking forward to the playoffs.
Doesn't matter what it looked like. Back in the playoffs. Looking forward to the playoffs. I'm not saying I'm not. But as I've been harping on all season long, the goal with this team was never make the fucking playoffs. We've done that before. Again and again, and we know how it ends. The goal with this team was to look competent and competitive enough during the regular season to feel good going into the postseason, like we could compete for an AFC championship title. That was the goal. And we're not there still. I'm not down on it. I've gone past the depression of the midseason point where I was like, something has to change. We have to get better. We suck. This is, even if we're winning, we've lost some really bad football games like the Titans and the Jets, and I'm just not going to be sad anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm not. So I'm positive today. I'm happy. I'm just being matter of fact about the shortcomings of the team, and the offense is sad. It's sad when a fake punt gets you more rushing yards than the rest of the game combined. It's sad when Nico Collins only has 17 yards receiving. It's sad when Joe Mixon rushes 12 fucking times for 23 yards, 1.9 yards per carry. These are all sad things. So let's talk about something happy in the spirit of the holiday season, shall we? Something a little more positive and uplifting with real momentum behind it. And that is the defense, the swarm, D'Amico's guys, D'Amico's dogs out there. getting it done. 4 takeaways against the Dolphins. The defense was the MVP of this game, no doubt. Derek Stingley Jr. being the MVP of the defense, the MVP of the MVP. 2 takeaways, 2 interceptions for Derek Stingley, including the game-clinching interception at the end when he was one-on-one with Tyreek Hill, I might add. Nobody in the broadcast felt like fucking highlighting that point, but like it's against one of the best receivers in football, undoubtedly the best receiver on the Dolphins, and he was one-on-one coverage. That was very, very impressive. Stingley has hands, man. He's incredible awareness. Always gets turned around back looking at the ball, reads these routes so well. Such a good cornerback, and obviously looks fantastic compared to whatever his name is on the Jets that everybody used to compare him to and say we should have taken instead of him. Obviously, Nick Caserio won that pick and looks fantastic as a result. But yeah, Derek Stingley Jr. continues to impress. 1 pick for Kalen Bullock, who has also been incredibly impressive this season. He's got 5 interceptions total. I think it's his rookie year. He also had 2 passes defensed. Defense, man. Will Anderson Jr. forced a fumble, also had a sack. Tuototo, however you pronounce his name, forced a fumble. I'll never get it. Don't try. It's fine. I will pronounce Daniel Hunter correctly. He had 1.5 sacks. So yeah, this one, when it was all said and done, came down to defense, and it was another stressful game that it felt like it shouldn't have been as close as it was, and the offense was a sputtering mess for a lot of it, and the defense made it happen. So, look, it's the NFL. Everybody knows if you can get a win, you should be happy about that. But when you're judging the season on the whole, this has been a disturbingly concerning season for the Texans in terms of momentum and taking the next steps towards being a real contender. And if there's anything that could make this season work out, and by that I mean get us into at least the second round of the playoffs. We can't go less far than we did last year, or this will all feel like a bit of a failure and a bit of a step back. And that's when heads are going to roll in the front office, other than D'Amico's. But like you'll see the offensive line coach get fired. You'll see Bobby Slowick get fired. Or I guess his contract is up. You'll just see him not get brought back. But it's going to be the defense. If the defense is legitimately good enough when healthy and fully staffed and Al-Shaair is not suspended, and so there's some things that need to come together still. But when the defense is all there, they are good enough to make this potentially a team that can go on a playoff run, a real playoff run. But that's a lot of weight to put on one side of the football because the offense is not going to get it done by themselves. There just hasn't even really been a game where you're like, God damn, we can't be stopped. Maybe the Patriots, but like that was it. So, yeah, that's where we're at with the Texans. 3 games left. Chiefs on Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun. Don't know if Mahomes is playing or not yet. Part of me hopes he is playing because if we lose to, who's their backup? Somebody that scares the hell out of me in terms of Carson Wentz. If we lose to Carson Wentz, it's 1,000 times worse than losing to Patrick Mahomes. And again, going toward the playoffs, we want positive momentum. We lose to the Chiefs with Mahomes at the helm, nobody's going to bat an eye. We lose to the Chiefs with Carson Wentz at QB, and holy fuck, all of the confidence built throughout the course of the season is gone, brother. And we've lost to some shitty quarterbacks this year. We lost to Will fucking Levis. So I don't want Carson Wentz. I would rather we play with Mahomes and see if we can get an actual win the right way. But Chiefs on Saturday, Ravens on Christmas Day. It's going to be interesting. This is it, though. This is the stretch where we'll find out what this team is really made of. I mean, obviously that stretch is actually the playoffs, but in the regular season, this is the stretch where we find out what this team is really made of. Look good, feel good, play good. Everybody knows that's how it works, but finding high-quality basics for your wardrobe online that actually fit well, not too tight, not too baggy, can be a huge pain in the ass. That's where today's sponsor, True Classic, comes in and saves the day. I'm a pretty simple dude when it comes to clothes. I don't need much, but shopping for clothes, it can be so defeating when the shit you buy ends up being expensive and then it finally arrives and it looks like crap. True Classic delivers the opposite of that experience. Their shirts are high quality, unbelievably comfortable, like this long sleeve Henley I've got on right now. It's good stuff. It's really good stuff. It looks nice. I'm huge on t-shirts. They comprise like 90% of my wardrobe. Nobody has better looking or more comfortable t-shirts than True Classic. The Henleys are great. The crew necks are perfect. They've got V-necks, long sleeve Henleys, sweaters, hoodies, literally everything you could possibly need with premium quality and premium fit. Been wearing it around my house the last several weeks. My wife seems to enjoy it. I look a little more professional and buttoned up, literally, in the Henley than I normally do. They got underwear, jackets, socks, jeans, polos, joggers. True Classic is your one-stop shop for everything you need this holiday season. And nothing helps you move on from another confidence-questioning Texans game like a little retail therapy. So get in there and grab yourself some True Classic today. The holidays are here, and True Classic's ultra-comfortable, perfect-fitting essentials make for the perfect gift for you or the other dudes in your life. So if you're looking to shop for your dad or your uncle or brother or whatever, this is where you go. If you are looking to upgrade your own closet, shop now and unlock big savings during their huge holiday sale. Just go to our exclusive link just for can bangers at trueclassic.com/BTC to save. That's trueclassic.com/BTC. They got crazy deals going on right now, so go check them out. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. End the year with holiday cheer thanks to True Classic. So last week we talked a lot about the NBA Cup and the Rockets advancing to the semifinals to play the Oklahoma City Thunder and how exciting it was because it's the NBA Cup and it just means more. But the Rockets lost to the Thunder in that game and didn't look particularly good, and nobody cares about the NBA Cup anyway. It doesn't mean anything. It only matters if your team is in it, and therefore it no longer matters at all to us. The courts are stupid. The in-season tournament is a joke. The NBA's ratings are a flop. And nobody cares. So, look, and to be serious, it would have been nice to go to the NBA Cup championship. It's been a long time since the Rockets played for anything, meaningful. It is what it is. This doesn't change anything for where we're at as a team. We're still one of the top 3, top 5 teams in the Western Conference currently. The Rockets are also a defensive-minded team. It's the similar issue as the Texans. The defense looks fantastic. The offense is like a 90s style of offense. We're scoring 90 points a game or whatever. It's like that's not good. But we're pretty much in the same spot we were last week when I spoke on the Rockets. So I don't have a lot to say. It's just the NBA Cup is over. Nobody cared anyway. It doesn't mean anything, and we can all just forget that ever happened and that I ever said any of those things like, it's the NBA Cup. It just means more because I was just goofing, and it doesn't mean shit. So, yeah, we move on from there. It's still weird to me that tournament takes place so early in the season. Like, I feel like a lot of people haven't even switched over to NBA mode yet because they're in the NFL mode still, and now there's a whole tournament that has occurred. It's just like, what the fuck? But, Rockets move on, keep rolling, try to get better. Got to get the offensive side of the ball a little sharper before things start to really matter in the, getting toward the middle of the season there. But for now, everything I said last week stands. If there's going to be a trade, I think Jalen Green is going to be the center point of that trade. I don't know that there is going to be a trade. I tend to believe our GM when he says that they're happy with where we're at and that they don't see any need to make any big moves. And like I said last week, I hope they don't because I like watching this team. I like watching them gel. I like that Alperen Şengün is the consistent offensive cornerstone and that Jalen Green can be that guy some nights when he's feeling it and explosive. And as NBA Twitter has noted all too often of late, it seems like the real weak point of this team has become Fred VanVleet, which is just kind of weird because we gave him like $200 million plus to be the veteran cornerstone of the team, and now he's like clearly the weakest link defensively some nights. He's been dog shit from 3-point range, which is a real problem. So we need Fred to get back on his A game, and the Astros or the Rockets will be good. We're in a great spot with the Rockets. It's time to start watching the Rockets again if you have not started watching the Rockets already because they're a lot of fun. Now let's talk about Kyle Tucker. When this happened, when the Astros trade was announced that Kyle Tucker was gone, I was obviously upset. I think everybody who has been a big fan and who has followed Kyle Tucker's career since 2015 when he got drafted, you were going to be upset. There's no way around it. He's such a likable guy. He's so underspoken. he's a hard worker. He's a good leader. I think, I don't even know. It's hard to say if Kyle Tucker has even reached his ceiling, like if he's played his best season as a major league player, which is part of the reason it's hard to watch him go. But here's what you have. Here's if you're still pissed off about the Kyle Tucker trade, here's what you need to know. He was gone after next season. He wasn't coming back. He was going to go get the bag, right? Every player that we have had in the same vein as Kyle Tucker, we have let them play out their contract the way Alex Bregman just did and then got nothing when they left. This happened with Correa. It happened with Springer. It happens a lot. It's the Astros way. It's the Jim Crane way. We do not give out the bag. We give guys a small bag to be here during their prime. And when they have played out that contract, we allow them to go get the big bag from some team that will overpay. And it'll do the 7 or 10-year deal or whatever that Jim Crane is not wont to do. He doesn't do those deals. We know this. It is a thing. It has been established. I do not see that changing. So when you look at it from that perspective, Dana Brown, I think he did what he had to do. I think he did what he had to do to make sure that we got value now. And it's a shame that Kyle Tucker got hurt last season for as much of it as he did, because I think we would have gotten more back had he not been hurt for as long as he was. In fact, you could argue that if he wasn't hurt for as long as he was last season, that maybe this trade doesn't even take place, and we do the old Astros way thing of letting him run out his contract and then leave. But because of how much time he spent injured last year, I think his value dropped a little. I also think the Astros are probably a little concerned about his ability to maintain his health. And again, they're in a situation where Dana Brown does not have a lot of farm team to work with. We don't have a bunch of top 100 prospects on this team. The Cubs had a lot of prospects. They have an incredible farm system currently. This was an opportunity to go and restock the farm a little bit and get a guy who can play third base and first base in, is it Isak? Is that how it's pronounced? Isak Paredes? And then you got a pitcher in Hayden Wesneski, and then a third base prospect in Cam Smith, in exchange for Kyle Tucker. So you get a good little haul back. It's nothing mind-blowing, unfortunately. We were all hoping, like, if this Kyle Tucker thing was really going to happen as the rumor mill really got working over the past week, that, hopefully we would get somebody back that would make us go, yes, it was worth it. But that's not really what happened here. All in all, I feel fine about it. Because if you look at it this way, if you run back last season, this upcoming season, and the same thing happens, and we get knocked out in the divisional round of the playoffs by a fucking team that has no payroll, that Josh Hader's getting paid more than the entire team in the Detroit Tigers, you feel pretty stupid about not trading Kyle Tucker, right? So you kind of have to go off your most recent results, how much time you missed last season, how things unfolded in the playoffs, knowing this team needs a bit of a shakeup and there's still some holes to plug, including first base and potentially third base if Alex Bregman doesn't come back. And I think it makes sense. You trade Kyle Tucker, you get what you can, and you move on. And it hurts and it sucks, and love Kyle Tucker, King Tuck forever. I hope he does great in Chicago. The Cubs would probably be my second favorite team in Major League Baseball now that they've got Kyle Tucker. I had never had anything against Chicago fans. I love Wrigley. We obviously don't have any type of rivalry with them. If he had to go, I'm glad he went. I'm glad he's in the other league. I'm glad he's on the Cubs, and I'm glad we got something back for him that we can actually use. Paredes, who again, as I mentioned, can also play first base, which the Astros need, he is pretty comparable to Alex Bregman, especially if you adjust his stats for the fact that he pulls the ball a lot, and we have the Crawford boxes. It's part of the reason that I think this trade went through is they're really counting on him being able to capitalize on Minute Maid Park, which is now called Air Conditioner Field or whatever the fuck. I'm not calling it that. I don't care what it is actually called. It's still Minute Maid until I make that shift in my brain, which may never happen. So yeah, look, we'll wait and see. Look, any trade like this, it's going to suck, and there's not a whole lot you could say to make people feel better about it until you actually see how the results pan out on the field. So for now, all I'm saying is I'm not pissed. I think Dana Brown did what he had to do. It's sad to see King Tuck go. I hope he crushes it in Chicago. I hope Paredes doesn't have to play third base. I hope we bring Alex Bregman back. He's still out there. I still think there's hope. I still think there's a chance that Bregman returns. I don't know that the market is as hot for him as Scott Boras would have you believe. I don't know what's going to happen. I know there's 4 different teams vying for his abilities, but I think with Bregman, what it will come down to is if the difference is only like a year and another $10 million, why not stay in Houston? So somebody's going to have to way overpay, I think, to get him away from whatever 6-year deal Jim Crane and Dana Brown offered him. I can't remember the logistics, the specifics, but I think there's a chance Breggy might stay. I do. We'll have to wait and see. But that's going to be the next big shoe to drop for the Astros. Do we have a fucking third baseman, or is Paredes going to have to play third? Because if you get Bregman back, you can put Paredes at first, and suddenly you have a much more complete infield. And then you can turn to the outfield, which feels like it's a shit show now. Because you don't have Kyle Tucker in right field, so Chaz is going to start out there. You got Jake the Rake in center. They don't want Alvarez playing left field nearly as often as he has been because they want to conserve his health and use him mostly as a DH. Obviously, Mauricio Dubon is a utility guy that can be played in 15 different fucking positions. There aren't even 15 positions, but that's how many he can play. So it still feels very incomplete and a little wonky when you look at the Astros on paper. But as we all know from watching the Texans this year, on paper is not what counts. What counts is the results in the win and loss column. Those are the two. That's what counts. So I'm going to withhold all my judgment until we see this thing unfold. I'll just say from a feel perspective and a vibes perspective, as a fan, things aren't great. And as I said last week, I point to getting knocked out in 2023 by the Texas Rangers, who go on to win a World Series against the Diamondbacks, losing the ALCS to the Rangers, coupled with losing to the Tigers, whose entire payroll was less than Josh Hader this most recent season. That is bad momentum. Then trading Kyle Tucker and potentially losing Bregman. I think you're kind of a lunatic if you're an Astros fan who's still completely gung-ho and loves the way things have gone. And you could take it back even further. Take it back before 2023. We win the World Series again in 2022, and then we fire James Click. And then Jim Crane and Jeff Bagwell commandeer the fucking team and start making dumbass decisions that backfire. So it's been bad momentum for a few years since winning the World Series in 2022, the second in this stretch of the dynasty. It has been bad momentum, bad juju, bad vibes. Now you're changing. Now let's add another thing in. You've changed the name of the fucking stadium. What's even going to be in the train? Is it going to be air conditioning units? Bad vibes. The vibes are currently cooked for the Astros. When you look at all those things in a row, firing James Click, signing Montero, signing Jose Abreu, losing to the Rangers in 2023 in the ALCS, who then go on to win a World Series against the fucking Diamondbacks that should have been ours. Then you look at the way things unfolded in 2024 and getting knocked out by the Tigers, and then you lose potentially Bregman and Kyle Tucker, and you change the name of the stadium. How could you possibly be stoked right now? Are you just an eternal optimist who's never affected by anything? The vibes are bad. The vibes need to be corrected. We've painted the fucking batter's eye 78 times in the past 2 seasons. The vibes are cooked. So we need to see some positive things unfold on the baseball field for the Astros before those vibes can shift back toward positive. I hope we bring Bregman back, and that's not a part of the equation, but for now, it is. And last season, we started like ass. We looked terrible. It was the worst start since the 60s or the 50s for the Astros. We can't have that happen again. We need to reestablish the vibes. The vibes are important. People downplay vibes. Vibes matter. And right now, we don't have any. So I hope they're able to get some positive momentum on the vibes side in the offseason before spring training, and then we can see how it goes. And I'll withhold ultimate judgment till then. All I'm saying for now, vibes bad. Vibes bad. We'll miss you, Kyle. You were awesome. I don't have a bad thing to say about that dude. He's feels like he was almost a symbol of the system that the Astros had built to draft him in 2015, to watch him get to come in. I still remember the first season he was in the bigs, that every time he came up to bat, there was like, you know, this buzz in the stadium. Like, oh, is this kid going to be good? Is he going to be legit? Because he was very highly touted, highly thought of, and it took a little bit for him to get cooking. I remember, you know, I think his second season or third season, I was still like, I don't know about this Kyle Tucker fella. He just looks like a 16-year-old prepubescent monster out there. I don't know that he even like, what are we doing with this guy? And then look what he turned into. So that's the dream, that your team will draft and develop talent into perennial all-star level talent. And that's what they did with Kyle Tucker. And things, you know, obviously the way this got handled the last couple of years will be talked about depending on how things shake out longer term. But taking him to arbitration twice and doing what we did and handling it the way we did, and it doesn't feel like there's a good taste in his mouth leaving Houston, I don't think. And it's hard to feel great about it, but sometimes life throws you lemons and you got to make lemonade, man. So we'll see how it tastes when the season starts.
AFC South champions 2 years in a row, Brian.
Yeah, but you guys are back in the.
Doesn't matter what it looked like. Back in the playoffs. Looking forward to the playoffs.
So let's end on a positive note. Texans back in the playoffs again. AFC South champs, second year in a row. Doesn't matter what it looked like. It will matter what it looks like when we're in the playoffs, though. Everybody knows that. Just got to hope you see some good things in the next few weeks, because we're right there, man. It's December 17th. This shit's almost over. It's a whole new calendar coming down the pipeline. We all got to be ready for that. Every episode of our show is available on the podcast platforms in audio form, and then on youtube.com/@bangingthecan, where if you are watching right now, you should really hit that subscribe button and the like button and leave a comment agreeing with or rebutting or with one of my takes or sharing a take of your own. We appreciate you on YouTube. It means a lot. Most of our listenership has found their way over to the YouTube because I think it's a more enjoyable little talk show experience there. Support our sponsors. This week we got True Classic. I'm wearing their gear right now. I've been wearing it a lot lately. It truly is awesome. TrueClassic.com/BTC to save in their holiday event. Go down to the description of this episode on whatever platform you're on, and you will see the link to TrueClassic.com/BTC. Click that link. It means a lot. Helps our show. On that note, please share the most unapologetic Houston sports show in existence with your friends and family this holiday season. That helps us out a lot as well. Check out our other shows here at Bolen Media, including Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, hosted by me and another Houston-born and raised boy named Barrett Dudley. We talk about Dune Prophecy every week right now. We will be talking about Silo Season 2 after that. We will be talking about Severance Season 2 after that. We will be talking about The White Lotus Season 3 after that. A lot coming down the pipeline for Oysters, Clams, and Cockles heading into 2025 that we're very excited about. We've also got an F1 show if you're a huge F1 fan. We're obviously in the off-season now, but we have an F1 show called Formula Bone, hosted by Jared J-Bone Borislow, which you can watch on youtube.com/@FormulaBone. Follow @FormulaBone on all of the social media sites. And Formula Bone is also available on the podcast platforms as well. And then the Ross Bolen podcast, where every week I talk about funny things from my life and things I think are important. And we have some fun, we have some serious talks, and I try to mix humor in with everything, some mental health, some family stuff, some grown-up stuff, sex. No, I'm just kidding. It's not. It's not a sex podcast, but it could be. It could be. Maybe next week I do a sex episode. I don't know. I'm just making the dolphin noise over and over for now. I'm sorry. I'm Ross Bolen. You can follow me at WRBolen, WRBOLEN on Twitter and Instagram. Follow our show at Banging the Can on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. I'll be back next week. We'll talk about how everything, well, maybe not next week because of Christmas, but the week after that for sure. And I'll be on social media between now and then, so keep up with the accounts, and you'll see what I have to say about how things unfold with the Chiefs on Saturday. And that'll be that. Have yourselves a great Christmas. Enjoy your friends, enjoy your family, enjoy the holiday season. Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, etc., so on and so forth. Until next time, H-Town, stay down.